Budgeting is a skill that I believe is super crucial for somebody that's living abroad as an expat in anywhere around the world. But specifically, I will be talking about my experiences as an expat living in Bangkok for the past 5 years. And specifically for this video, I'm going to go through three different income levels. And these are the three different income levels that I believe are largely representative of the expats that are working here. These three income levels may or may not reflect your experience and your financial situation, but I'd like to show how I would be budgeting on these levels and the different kinds of thinking that I go through. Thank you, and let's get into the video. I am going to be showing you on how I would budget for the 35,000 baht salary. Right, so this is the Excel sheet that I've created. I've adapted it a little bit to how I want to budget as well. So the currency, obviously, since we're in Thailand, we are going to be using Baht, and estimated salary before tax is going to be 35,000. Your exchange rate as of today, roughly it was 33.3, but this might change as well. So just a reminder. All right, so this is the monthly budget planner. I will just go through quickly how I've split the different Excel cells together. So right now I am starting with the projected, and I've put in actual as well, because sometimes in terms of your projected, if you are thinking of, say, salary that you might get as a freelancer or as a consultant or something like that, this might be different. But as somebody that works a 9 to 6 or 9 to 5, this is going to be largely fixed. This section is about net salary. Put all of your net salary over here, and tax and deductibles. So if you want to understand how to calculate your tax in Thailand and have an estimate, this is the website that I usually go to. I can link it a little bit later. This is through UOB's website, and you can put in your accessible income. So in this case, we are estimating the 35,000 as your monthly salary. If you have any bonuses, say 13-month bonus or any other incentive bonus or things like that, you can put that in here to estimate. But for now, I'm just going to put in 35 and click next. Now, this section is where it's going to be largely different for different people. As of this case, I am just going to assume in, let's say, my case, for example, right? So as status is a single person over here, no spouse, no income, no children. This is father, mother exemption. If, let's say, you're a local person, I think typically locals and Thais obviously can apply for this as an exemption. But as far as I know, this, I might be wrong on this, expats might not be eligible for this unless you have your parents here as dependents. This might need to be checked a little bit more. So that's fine. Disabled incompetent person support. Yes, if you are supporting any person that is disabled, you can put in this amount too. Social Security Fund contribution. This is a mandatory contribution that you have to make as an expat that works in Bangkok. If you are working a 9 to 5, say if you might be a freelancer or things like that, your tax situation might be different. I'm not going to go through the legalities of the tax part in this case, but this is just really to show you the calculation of tax as in general. But if you wanted to know more, please consult a tax lawyer. Please consult somebody that's in the field that is actually doing this. So yes, your social security contribution, they increased this from 750 to 875 in 2026. It's going to increase until, I believe, 1,150 in and it'll be gradually increasing until I think the 2032, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so that is going to be the contribution that you have to pay. If you have a provident fund or a government pension fund, some companies in Bangkok or in Thailand in general, they offer a provident fund as part of the package. So you check with your employer whether this is applicable to you or not. This is something that you can pay roughly 2 to 15% of your salary, and then the employer does employer matching. So you're basically getting additional money for setting that money aside. For this case, I'm just gonna put in 0. Interest for loans, these ones I'm just gonna put in as 0. If you have any donations or things like that, that is going to be income, tax deductible. So this is your tax calculation. Your income, your tax to pay this year. These I won't go into these too much because these are more of the retirement funds or ESG, environmental investments, or any annuity. So for now, I'm not going to be going through that. This is the amount that you are liable to pay for tax as someone that is earning 35K per month. All right, I'll go back to the budget here. So I've already put this in, the amount of money here divided by 12. This is the amount that you have to pay. So in terms of your budget, it will be good for you to set aside this money. So your take home is going to be roughly 34545. So let's say 34,000. Right. This is also the other budget of incomes and expenses. I've put in a few expenses just to show you what I would assume to be some of the expenses that somebody earning in this salary range would have, and the savings and investments. We will go through this a little bit later. On this side, we have the actual projected expenses. I've put in fixed expenses, so these are the expenses that are going to be month to month, no changes whatsoever. We have variable expenses, so these are expenses that might change according to your lifestyle and things that you come across and things that you want to do, activities, so on and so forth. And this is the overview budget split. I put this in largely because for me specifically, I want to look at how much budget split am I having across my whole total budget. So let's say, for example, for my fixed or needs, I am going to put 30% of that. Variable wants, these are a little bit more for me, and so I put in 50% of my, let's say 50% of your salary. So largely anything that is planned or projected, you will be able to see over here and the actual difference. Then you have your savings. So this, I estimate that, say, I will be saving 20% of my salary on this projection. Right, so let's not look at the numbers too much because it might be too confusing, but this is what I would look back again. So let's focus on these columns now. Fixed expenses. Somebody that is earning 35K, I am projecting and also budgeting, say, rental prices of around 9,000. There are cases where you can get cheaper, which is going to be great, because at 9,000 baht, you are going to be spending 26% of your salary. And the general rule of thumb is that you should be spending, or you should not be spending, more than 30% of your salary on rent. And, depending on the place that you stay, depending on the lifestyle that you want to have, obviously this number can change and you can readjust your budget, but this is generally the rule of thumb. So I have projected around 9,000. You're thinking of a small 27 to 30 square meter apartment in Bangkok, maybe in the outskirts of Bangkok, places like Bangkok, Punawiti, or something a little bit further, or there could be apartments and not condos that have that price range. Apartments usually don't have a lot of amenities, um, and typically, they are a little bit older, for example. But condos will probably have, a pool, a gym, and a lot of other security amenities and things like that. So this is generally the cost that I have seen to be quite available in the market right now. And so 9,000 for rental. Subscriptions. We live in a digital age. Everyone has subscriptions, so I'm gonna put that as a subscription. You have your Netflixes, your Spotify's, your YouTube Premium Music, whatsoever, right? So roughly 1,000 for subscriptions. Internet bills. I think this is generally what all that you will need and more. Nothing that spectacular. Phone bills, yes, there are unlimited phone bills, but at this price, at this salary range, you're looking to save as much as possible because you are on really a tight budget. Water bill, you can come across people that have spent a little bit more than this, but I don't think this is a huge expense anyway. 100 to 150 baht per month. So your total fixed expenses is 10K and 798, so roughly 800. So that makes up roughly around 31% of your salary. All right, so this is the fun part. We're getting into variable expenses. Now, this can go very out of hand if you are, say, spending different types of lifestyle experiences. You're going out a lot more. You're doing a lot of activities. And Bangkok gives you that choice. Although the choice is also yours to save up and not do a lot of things, and also see different ways of not spending a lot of money but still enjoying your life. So here, eating out, I have projected roughly around 5,000. Hopefully you're not eating out at a lot of big restaurants all the time. Groceries, assuming that at this point you will be cooking at home or preparing meals by yourself. This is still 10K in terms of eating for in terms of budget, healthy expense. Transportation, this one you will be using public transport, so trains, buses, taxis and bikes. Sometimes, okay, sure, if you go out to a certain place and then there's no access for public transport anymore, or really, you're dead tired and things like that, I would budget a leeway of 500 baht per month. Electricity bill roughly depends on how you use your electricity and how you stay at home, how much you stay at home too. How much you use the AC, how cold you use the AC, and different appliances, how much you cook, and so on. Roughly, I found that people spend around 1,300 to, it could even be like 2,000 plus on the summer months when you're using a lot of AC. But right now, I am budgeting roughly around 1,300, or say even 1,500 per month. Personal items, obviously you will need to buy certain things. I would say this comes more as a discretionary spending, so please try to not buy too many things at this salary range. You are really trying to build up your emergency funds or your savings first before you're able to buy any frivolous expenses. But either way, things happen and you might need to buy certain things. This is the expense for that. Health and self-care, if haircuts, for example, or going for massages or things like that every now and then, sure, a little bit of expense over here. Medicine, care products, 500. Wants, needs, fun, and relaxation. So I put in a little bit of entertainment. Let's say if you wanted to go out, if you wanted to go to a movie or something, or have fun activities with your friends, this is the money to do it. Hobbies also, and you can really mix and match the budget over here, but this is how I would spend my money on this budget. So your fixed expenses is 10K and 800 baht. Your variable expenses is 19,800 baht. So roughly we are looking at 30,600, let's say, right? So that makes up 88% of your salary. Now on this budget, I have projected my total income. Well, total income is the 34,500. Expenses is 30,000. Let's say roughly 600. So what is left over is 3,900 and roughly 50 baht. Say roughly 10 or 13% of your salary. This is where the savings and investments come in. I would usually try to start with how much I want to save and then adjust my spending based on this. But specifically for this budget, I'm roughly looking at the 10 to 15% range of savings. So that's something that fits within the range right now. Now I want to go into how I'm thinking about the savings and investments here. And the reason I've put it into different buckets is because it really depends on what your investment goal looks like, where you are in your investment journey as well. Now, if I'm somebody that's going to assume that I have zero in my savings or nothing to start with, this is typically how I would start. So maybe this is just a rough guideline right now. Let's just take out all these numbers first. I would put more into my emergency fund or to my savings fund first before I go into anything that is investments. Now, I'm going to touch this retirement SSF thing a little bit because for at least from my experience, it might not matter too much as an expat. And I'll go into why. So, let's say for emergencies, I would probably want to put more into my emergency fund and build up that emergency fund first. Maybe even 50% actually. Let's do that. Transfer to savings right now. No, nothing over here. Investments. At this stage, I think maybe I would go 20% into investments and 80% into emergency funds. All right, and that's fine. And 0 into retirement or this one. Essentially, when I say retirement, this SSF, RMF, ESG, these are the different instruments that you can use to save money in Thailand. That is specific to longer term investments or longer term bonds that are tax deductible. Now, why I don't do this specifically is because if you're somebody that sees yourself staying in Thailand for the next 10 plus years, this might be something you could actually look into because not going into too many details, but if you are putting money into these, there is a lock-in period, and that lock-in period means that you have to have that money in that account for at least 5 to 10 years before you're able to withdraw from it. So in some case, it doesn't necessarily make sense for somebody that's going to be here on a shorter term. So I'd focus more on my emergency funds or my investments that I'd make by myself. Right. So emergency fund, we're going to put 80% of our remaining budget into this emergency fund. Roughly 3,150 into emergency funds projected. And investments, I think it would still be good for you to start investments in some way, because investments are the way for you to actually build your wealth and grow your money. Emergency funds are good because they are liquid, they stay in your bank account, and for anything that you need to use quite quickly, these are there for you at your expense. This being said, there are probably a lot of different things that you could still save on or reduce to make your savings and investments a little bit more. But this is generally somebody that can balance their lifestyle. That we're not going to be eating ramen noodles and just mama noodles every day. uh, and we're going to be living a balanced lifestyle. So this is the budget that I would do for a 35,000 baht salary. All right, this is the 50,000 baht salary range. Salary before tax, 50,000 baht. Exchange rate is the same. Again, I am assuming this is somebody that works a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6 and earns the 50,000 baht. Tax and deductibles, we calculated it in the tax calculator, and then this is roughly around, for the total year, I think it's roughly around 21,000 baht. For the each month, it's going to be 1,784. So your take home is going to be 48,000. A little bit more wiggle room and more opportunity to have more savings, really. One thing to note is that there are bound to be lifestyle creep, and this is really tough to manage because you almost don't actually know that that's happening. And this is really why this budget is super important, because it keeps you in check of what you're spending and how much you can actually spend and what your money goals look like. So right now I did put this a little bit more optimistic, I should say. So if we're looking at this from a projected fixed expenses, rental, let's say, for example, if you are okay with just staying in that, small apartment, no lifestyle creep kind of thing, you could still kind of project to stay in a, 9,000 to 11,000 baht per month kind of place. Maybe at this range, you might be able to stay more within the city, so your projected spend for rental could increase. So I could say 11 to 13K for a small 30 square meter apartment, a little bit more in the city area. Subscriptions, again, these are quite variable for person to person, so I haven't really put too much difference in here. 1,000 here, 400 for internet, phone bills 300, water bill again 100, 150. All right, variable expenses. So pretty much bound for somebody to be going out a little bit more at this salary range. 7,000 for eating out, 5,000 for groceries. So roughly you have 12,000 for your monthly eating or beverage expenses. Transportation costs, you are largely going to maybe want to use more taxis or bikes at this salary range because you can. And you have more allowance to do that. So I would budget a little bit more for that, for the convenience. Electricity bill, yes, you might be spending more on electricity or whatnot, living a little bit more comfortably, 1,500. Now, personal items, really, I think I would not go overboard here at this stage. I would just probably put 3,000 here as well, just so that I can focus on saving as much as I can, and these shouldn't be expenses that I'm too frivolous on or that I impulsively buy. Health and expenses, again, 1,500, nothing too major. Medicine, care products, 500. This could be more or less depending on what happens to you. Entertainment, I would probably want to put around 2,000 over here. Health and fitness, well, this is maybe an expense that I think might be avoidable if certain condos already have gyms or whatnot. But sometimes, gyms might not be the thing that you like to do. Sometimes you might want to go for, racket sports or any other types of, outdoor sports, indoor sports, things like that, or any other health fitness activities. So let's say your running clubs and whatnot that might have the fees. 1,500, really, if you have a home gym or a gym in your condo, this is something that you could save on. Hobbies, I'm just still gonna put in 1,500. Anything that you like to do as a hobby and that you want to, you probably need money to spend on this for a little bit. Sure, 1,500. Assuming this is my salary and the expense, what is left over is roughly 7,400. I think at this salary, I would probably want to reduce the variable expenses or even the rental expense that I have and try to stay in a cheaper place. That's not too far away from the city, but try to reduce that expense. So say roughly 11K. Eating out, probably I wouldn't try to eat out too much just yet. Maybe 6,000 over here, just adjusting. And let's see, maybe what else I could have less of. Personal items, yeah, maybe I would try to reduce that. Say, okay, 2,000 for personal items. Entertainment, sure. I still want the entertainment and going out and doing some activities. Health and fitness, sure. Hobbies, sure. These are probably things that I don't want to compromise too much on. Adjusting that, you will see that I have roughly 11,400 left over. And I would say this is a pretty healthy amount to try to save at this time. I'm just going to check how much this is going to be. Yes, so it's going to be roughly say 15 to 20% of my salary. So savings and investments here, same thing. I would probably be, loading this more on the emergency funds if you don't have that emergency fund. But with this, I am starting to assume that you are starting to have a larger emergency fund, you have more savings, and you are going to start, using this money as investments. Now, I would still resort to going on a slightly conservative number only because that's the way that I would think too. So let's say, for example, you're still contributing to your emergency fund. You can still contribute to that maybe in a smaller split, 30%, say. Transfers to savings. Savings is anything that is also kept as liquid money. You can still try to save that money in a bank account just for emergency or even other different goals. Let's say you have a big trip that's coming that you want to save on. You want to have a big expense that you want to buy a specific thing, electronics, or maybe if, say, for example, you wanted to buy a car or as a down payment or whatnot, and then you can start putting that into savings. Now, even at this range, even if I could afford a car in Bangkok, I will not buy a car. It is an absolute savings wrecker because you are going to be spending so much on, I mean, not just on the down payment, but you're going to be spending on insurance, you're going to be spending on fuel, parking, and just generally upkeeping this asset of yours. But this is a very quickly depreciating asset too, so you're going to be losing money on this quite a lot. And unless you are in need of a car, or you live in an area where public transport is so inaccessible, or your workplace is inaccessible by public transport, really I would suggest to really think twice about getting a car in Bangkok. If you're living in the CBD or the city area, there's barely any need for a car. If you're going for, say, traveling or whatnot, then there are lots of rental places that you can rent from. So really, that's how I see, cars in general. I wouldn't buy one. Retirement, again, for me, doesn't make sense. I am not going to invest in this. I would rather invest in other investment options that are going to be more accessible or liquid for me. If I wanted to, say, withdraw my money, I would be able to withdraw it a little bit quicker than, say, for example, the 10 years or 5 years lockup. So at this range, I am going to be saving roughly 11,400 baht per month, which I feel is a healthy amount to save. Depending on what your lifestyle is going to be and how you're going to be living, you can obviously go a lot lower than this, but my philosophy again is I am not going to want to be, stuck in my own house, do nothing, not have a social life, and, eating noodles every day. Like, I do still want to focus on my health and my social and the things that I want to do, hobbies and so on. So this generally I would say would be a healthy budget for me to go, and live my life and not feel restricted in Bangkok. We're going to get into 80,000 baht budget now. And with this budget, obviously, you will have a lot more wiggle room and be able to be more dynamic with the way that you spend your money. So your monthly budget with 80,000 baht is going to be roughly 73,700 baht. Your tax deductibles, roughly 6,000 baht per month. Rental prices, I think with this budget, I would want to be living in a bigger space. I would want to live, closer to the city. At this range, I am able to spend 15K to maybe even 18K on my condo or my rent and still be fitting the 27%. But right now, I am just going to try to go for the 15K. Again, there might be better places with this price or even lesser price. So again, this is going to be quite variable. Subscriptions, I would want to have more subscriptions and try to live a more comfortable life. So more subscriptions here. Internet, phone bill, water bill, really this doesn't really change. Honestly, this is already enough for somebody that, across all the 3 different salary ranges. Eating out, I think at this range, I would want to eat out a little bit more and, go to nice restaurants and whatnot. One thing I would say, though, is when I'm saying nice restaurants, I'm not saying 5-star restaurants or Michelin star or things like that. I am talking about, restaurants that are, maybe chain restaurants in shopping malls or other restaurants around the town that are not overly that pricey. When I say pricey, because everyone has a different price range, I'm talking roughly less than 500 baht per time dining out. Then that includes your drinks and desserts and whatever so on. So roughly 500 or less is typically my budget for eating out. So eating out budget is 10K over here. Groceries, we still need groceries every now and then, so I'm putting in that budget for 5,000. Transportation, because, at this range, you might be using more of the bikes or taxis. So roughly, I'm going to still be allocating around 3,500 for the transportation budget. Electricity, I think at this stage, because maybe, I would still put in 1,500 or 2,000. Really depends on what you use the electricity for. Personal items, I have a little bit more wiggle room for personal items, but maybe I could adjust this lower depending on how much I want to save and how frugal I want to be. Actually, maybe let's just put in 3,000 for now. Health and self-care, I bumped it up a little bit from 1,500 to 2,000. I can afford it. It's fine. This is the range that it should be okay. Medicine care expenses, maybe put in 1,000 over here. Other expenses, this one I should have wiggle room, so I will put in 0. Gifts, donations, no need for that. Entertainment, roughly 2,000 again. Health and fitness, I've still put in this much. Maybe at this range, maybe I want to travel a little bit more, and I would have this as an expense here already that I've budgeted. Hobbies, I still put in this. Maybe sometimes at this stage I want to have a bit of house cleaning and whatnot. Health and fitness, I think I'll put in 2,000. just because maybe for someone that earns at this stage, you might want to go to a more boutique gym or fitness place. Actually, this could be a lot more depending on the type of gyms or places that you go to. Some gyms could be roughly even around 4,000 baht. So really, depending on your lifestyle and what you're trying to achieve, it could go all the way to that and even more. So somebody that is, quite health conscious, goes to a boutique gym, eats out a lot, likes to, spend money on a lot of different things over here. We are looking at roughly 18K in something that's left over for your savings and your investments. I would actually be more ruthless with the variable expenses here so that I'm keeping track of not having lifestyle inflation, but really maximizing my savings rate. Now, if you're looking at this person's lifestyle, which is, I wouldn't say a lavish lifestyle, but a pretty comfortable lifestyle, this person could actually go save even more. In terms of, say, for example, let me see how I should edit this. Rental, sure, I don't want to do too much over here. Eating out, maybe I want to, yeah, sure, I want to eat out a little bit more, but not as much. Transportation, bikes, taxis, maybe not take taxis all the time, but I would still be okay with taking taxis every now and then. That should be okay. Personal items, sure, 3,000, that's fine. Health and self-care, medicine, okay, that's okay. These are areas that are a little bit more expensive here right now. I think this health and fitness, again, really depends on your lifestyle. I would still try to see if there are, more affordable options or more frugal options that you could go for. So let's say I would just put in 2,000 here again. Travel. This might need to be an expense that isn't projected every month. And maybe something that I would probably put into savings as a goal rather than put it into my monthly budget, so to speak. So actually, let me do that. So instead of putting the money into travel over here, I would put it into transfer to savings, and maybe as a goal, I would put travel as a goal. Hobbies, sure, that's fine. Maybe house cleaning. I don't actually need to have a cleaner or things like that, but if you're earning this much already, and if you're in a job that is quite, mentally taxing, and you really need to focus on things, your time is money, then it does justify you to have somebody, either come and clean the house, so that while they're cleaning the house, you're able to be productive and you can still do the things that you need to do. So this, again, I would be okay to still put this in. Depends on how you value your time and your money. This seems like a healthy budget. It should be okay. So total income, 73,764. Total expenses, we're looking at 47,000, roughly 300, and we are going to be aiming to save 26,000. Here, remember, we are going to do a little bit of savings on travel. So I think if I have to maybe start doing that, let's just say, 15% should be okay. Emergency funds, if you're still trying to contribute to your emergency funds, sure, you can contribute to that. Investments, in this case, I think here is where I would start to be more aggressive with my investments, because I know that I am able to start saving money. I'm able to still have a lifestyle that is comfortable enough and that is not super lavish, but there are areas that I can still compromise a little bit in order for me to save more and to invest more money. So this might be the split that I do, to not just contribute to emergency funds, a little bit month by month. The transfer for savings, obviously, you're not thinking to travel every single month or every single week. So depending on that, you're going to be splitting this, and then your investments is going to be a little bit more aggressive. So at least this is how I would generally budget at this salary range. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm and me and for other people to discover this video too. If you feel that you don't agree or agree with the things that I say, please comment below and let's discuss more. And if you like videos like this, please subscribe too. Thank you so much and have a great day. See you in the next one.